Before the night even began, something in the air felt strange, like the quiet before a storm people do not see coming. On her birthday evening, she walked toward Café Crescent with a small gift bag swinging beside her and a soft hope beating inside her chest. She had imagined this whole night all week. Warm lights, a sweet surprise, maybe a soft, happy birthday whispered across the table. The city outside was loud, cars, horns, strangers rushing somewhere, but the cafe felt like a safe little island. Its warm yellow lights glowed like melted honey. The air smelled like coffee, sugar, and comfort. It was the kind of place where bad news should not exist. She spotted him immediately. He sat near the window, shoulders tight, fingers twisted together as if he was holding something fragile inside his palms. She smiled, thinking he was nervous because he planned something special for her. He was always like that, awkward but sweet when he prepared surprises. But tonight, he did not stand to hug her. He did not tease her. He did not even smile. He only said one quiet line. "I need to tell you something." A small laugh slipped from her lips, soft and innocent. She expected a joke. She expected something playful. He always made normal moments dramatic on purpose. But this time his face did not move. No joke. No smile. Only fear. The waitress came over, cheerful, breaking the heavy silence. "2 cappuccinos," he said, voice shaking. She watched him carefully. Something about the way his eyes avoided hers felt wrong. Cold, unfamiliar, dangerous. It felt like standing on a floor that looked strong but was secretly cracking underneath. "What is it?" she asked. For 3 years, she had chosen him every single day. She had loved him quietly, steadily. No drama, no games. He was her safe place. Her everyday sunrise. Her soft corner in a loud world. She trusted him completely. Her phone still held a folder called Good Days filled with screenshots of their sweetest conversations. Now she could feel all those good days trembling. He exhaled like someone about to tear open an old wound. "I'm married." The words did not feel real. They didn't even feel possible. It was like someone spoke them through him, not him. Her body reacted before her mind did. She laughed. Too quickly, too loudly. It was a laugh made of shock, not joy. "Stop," she said. "Don't joke like this." "I'm not joking." His eyes looked wild with fear. "I've been married for 8 years. And I've been with you for 3. The air in the cafe changed. The music became distant. The lights dimmed. Even the steam from her cappuccino looked slow and heavy. Her heart felt like it cracked in the middle. "How long?" she whispered, even though she already knew he would repeat the same painful truth. He opened his mouth to speak, but she lifted her hand sharply. She couldn't hear any more lies wrapped in soft promises. She didn't want. "I was going to tell you." She didn't want. I was leaving her. She didn't want excuses wearing costumes of love. Outside the cafe window, strangers walked by smiling, holding flowers, living normal lives. And here she stood, watching her entire world collapse quietly between 2 coffee cups. She pushed back her chair. He jumped up too, panic rising in his eyes. Outside, the night air hit her cheeks, cold and sharp, like the truth she could no longer ignore. Under the streetlight, her breath broke. Her tears fell fast, not polite, not quiet, raw, painful, shaking her whole body. She wanted to scream. She wanted to disappear. She wanted the whole city to freeze with her pain. He reached for her arm. "Please," he begged. "Let me explain. Let me take you home. I'll fix everything. I'll choose you. I swear I will." She wiped her tears. Her breathing steadied. Her spine straightened. And then she gave him a small, controlled smile, the kind people give strangers when they are done talking. A smile with no love left inside it. "No," she said calmly. "You won't fix this. You broke it." He stepped closer, desperate. "I can't leave you like this." "You already did," she whispered. Then she walked away. The streetlight behind her became smaller and smaller, like a coin dropped far behind. His voice faded. The city sounds swallowed everything. But later that night, when she lay on her bed staring at the ceiling, she realized something strange. Something she had not told him. Something she had not told anyone. Something that could destroy him more than the truth he gave her. A secret she discovered only yesterday. A secret she was going to reveal tonight. But now she would save it for later. And that secret is where the real story begins. After that birthday night, the night the truth punched the air out of her, she did not collapse the way people expected a broken heart to collapse. She didn't scream. She didn't chase him. She didn't beg. She simply walked away. But the pain didn't walk away with her. It followed her like a shadow through the following weeks. She didn't break all at once. She broke slowly, quietly, in corners of the world no one else saw. Heartbreak doesn't always come crashing like a storm. Sometimes it comes like a slow leak, draining you drop by drop. Every morning, she woke with one heavy realization. The person she loved was a lie. And the life she thought she had, it wasn't hers. Mornings were the hardest. The silence had a way of reminding her what she lost. Her bed felt too big. Her room felt too quiet. The sheets felt heavy, like they were pinning her down, not to comfort her, but to keep her from rising. But she still rose. Even when her chest felt like broken glass, she rose. She made herself tea. She washed her face. She whispered, one step, and took it. Afternoons became a kind of slow survival. She answered work emails, fixed spreadsheets, checked boxes, anything to give her mind something to hold on to. She wasn't chasing productivity. She was building a fragile bridge across an ocean of hurt. But nights were merciless. The world would go quiet, and her thoughts would grow loud. She made her small rituals. A cup of tea on the counter. A book she could only read in pieces. A slow walk around the block, counting streetlights like prayers. And always, the phone call with her mother. Are you eating? Sleeping? Her mother asked. I'm managing, she answered, shaping the word until it sounded real. But some nights, after she hung up, tears filled her eyes without warning. She didn't cry because she missed him. She cried because she missed the version of herself who trusted without fear. But through all the pain, through all the hollow nights, one thing kept her moving. The secret she had discovered the day before her birthday. The secret she never got the chance to use. The secret that could destroy him completely. She never checked his messages again. At first it was hard. Her fingers moved automatically. But soon, ignoring him became easy. Like a muscle that learned a new strength. He texted. Once. Twice. Then his texts came like a flood. Paragraphs, voice notes, desperate promises that meant nothing anymore. I love you. I'm leaving her. I can't lose you. You're the only one who understands me. She didn't open a single one. When she finally replied, it was just one sentence. Please do not contact me. She sent it calmly, without shaking. Then she muted his number, placing a quiet, permanent wall between her peace and his chaos. But they still worked on the same office floor. She trained herself to walk past him like he was a stranger. She trained her eyes not to search for him. She trained her voice to stay professional, even when her heart felt anything but. He tried catching her near the elevator. She stepped aside. He followed her in the hallway. She ignored him. He waited by the coffee machine. She treated him like air. And every time she walked past him without a single glance, she could feel him breaking a little more. Yet she didn't feel victorious. Not yet. Healing wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't revenge. Not at first. Healing was choosing bright clothes again. Mustard yellow, ocean blue, deep green. Healing was choosing herself. She joined a gym. She lifted weights. She felt her body grow stronger. She cooked real meals again, Soups, rice bowls, roasted vegetables. Food she hadn't made in months. The kitchen felt warm again, not lonely. She enrolled in a digital design course. She sat in class, took neat notes, watched her creativity bloom again. She wasn't distracting herself. She was rebuilding her life brick by brick. And for the first time in weeks, she realized. She wasn't learning how to live without him. She was learning how to live with herself. But just when her life began to steady, just when her breathing became calmer, just when she thought she was done with him forever, everything changed again. One evening, she returned home from her design class. She opened her door, set down her bag, and checked her mailbox. Inside was a single envelope. Her name written in shaky handwriting she knew too well. Her stomach tightened. She opened it. Inside was a letter, not from him, but from his wife. Just one short, chilling line. I know everything. We need to talk. Your life is about to change too. Her fingers froze. Her heartbeat stumbled. Because the wife didn't know the truth. Not the full truth. Not the one secret that even he didn't know she possessed. The morning after receiving the wife's letter, the office felt different. It wasn't just the usual hum of printers or the sound of keyboards. It was the weight of a secret pressed against her ribs. A secret someone else now suspected. A secret she wasn't ready to share. Not yet. She walked through the lobby, head high, expression calm. Inside, her heart beat like a quiet warning drum. His wife wanted to talk. His wife knew something. But how much? Which part? And how? The elevator doors opened. People stepped aside for her, offering small smiles. They didn't know they were walking around the edges of an earthquake. The office had turned into a stage she never auditioned for. Conversations paused whenever she walked by. Eyes followed her movements, subtle, curious, pretending not to care. Rumors travel fast in closed spaces, slipping under doors and between cubicles like thin smoke. But she refused to give them fuel. When someone asked, "Are you okay?" she gave a small smile. "I'm fine. How's your daughter's exam?" She shifted the spotlight every time, and slowly, something strange happened. People began coming to her with their own stories. Small worries, tiny victories, frustrations they carried alone. She listened to each one, and in the quiet of those conversations, something inside her softened. Healing sometimes hides inside other people's truths. But one thing never softened, her awareness of him. Because he hovered, lingering near her desk, slowing down when she walked past, pretending to look for papers near her cubicle, standing a little too long by the elevator. Sometimes she sensed him before she saw him, like a shadow that forgot it was supposed to stay on the ground. He was desperate now. His messages unreplied. His lies exposed. His wife suspicious. And worst of all, he still didn't know about the secret she was holding in her pocket. The secret that could destroy him completely. He followed her one afternoon into a glass meeting room. She had gone inside only to pick up printouts. He closed the door behind him. The click of the latch felt louder than it should. "How can you smile?" he burst out, voice cracking. "Didn't you love me? How can you just move on like this?" She placed the papers on the table, aligning their edges with calm precision. Then she looked up at him. "I did love you," she said softly. He inhaled sharply, hope flickering in his eyes. "And that," she continued, "is exactly why I refuse to let you be the last chapter of my life." His expression crumpled, confusion, guilt, anger swirling together. He didn't understand. Maybe he never would. To him, love was possession, chains, promises whispered but never kept. To her, love had become survival. She stepped past him toward the door. But before she could leave, he said something that made her freeze. "My wife reached out to you, didn't she?" Her breath caught. He stepped closer. "She found out I was talking to someone. She's been watching me." She knows something. What did she tell you? Her mind raced. He knew. He suspected. But he didn't know what the wife knew. And he definitely didn't know that the letter in her bag wasn't the wife's only move. She opened the door without answering. He called after her, voice shaking with fear. She's dangerous. You don't know her. Please, don't meet her. She didn't respond. She walked out. But inside her mind, the wife's message echoed. Your life is about to change too. 4 days after, she waited for the wife to contact her again. But the wife didn't. Instead, the office atmosphere shifted, like everyone sensed a storm building behind locked doors. Then one Thursday afternoon, the promotion list came out. Her name was there. Bold. Clean. Unshakable. She stared at it for a long moment, taking in the weight of it. She remembered the late nights, the early mornings, the way she fought to keep her work separate from her pain. She had earned this. Every bit of it. Congratulations poured in. Smiles. Handshakes. Emails filled with emojis. She thanked everyone, polite and composed. But later that evening, she slipped into a quiet storage room, no windows, one soft light bulb, and let herself breathe. Really breathe. And she cried. Not from heartbreak. Not from loss. But from pride, deep, raw pride in the woman who didn't collapse when life tried to break her. She wiped her tears, stood straighter, and stepped out of the room stronger than she had entered. But the moment she reached her desk, everything changed. Her phone buzzed. Not with a message. With a video file. Sent from an unknown number. She tapped it. The screen showed a dimly lit room. A woman's voice. Cold. Steady. His wife. And then, a shadowy figure stepped into the frame. A man. Tied to a chair. Head down. Hands shaking. It was him. The wife's voice whispered. Since you won't tell her the truth, I will. The video ended. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. The office around her blurred. Because this was no longer heartbreak. This was something else. A beginning she never saw coming. A beginning she could no longer control. She replayed the video 3 times. His wife's voice. His shaking hands tied to a chair. The dim light. The cold warning. Since you won't tell her the truth, I will. For a long moment, she stared at her phone, unable to move. Her heartbeat wasn't fast. It was slow, heavy, like someone was knocking from inside her chest. The office around her blurred into a silent fog. Finally, she pressed pause. And another fear followed the first. What truth? What did he hide even after all his lies? What did the wife think she knew? Her mind spun. Then she remembered her own secret, the one she discovered a month before her birthday, the real reason she had planned to talk to him that night. But she wasn't ready to connect her secret with the wife's message. Not yet. For 2 days, she expected the wife to call. For 2 days, she expected cops, chaos, a scandal. But nothing happened. Instead, on the 3rd morning, she received one more message. Short, strange, unsettling. Thank you for staying silent. And just like that, no more videos came. No more letters. No more warnings. He returned to the office 2 weeks later, untied, unhurt, quiet. His eyes didn't meet hers. His wife didn't show up. It was as if the storm happened behind a curtain and someone dropped it before she could see the ending. She could have dug deeper. But she didn't. Some truths are poison. Some rotten doors don't need opening. She blocked his wife's number. She muted him again. And slowly, her life moved forward, away from their darkness, away from secrets, away from the silent war she never asked to fight. Then, slowly, something new entered her life. Omar. He didn't arrive like a hero. He arrived like a quiet sunrise. Soft, patient, nothing to prove. He asked how her day was and waited, really waited, for her answer. When grief appeared unexpectedly, he didn't say, "Move on." He made space for it. Like setting an empty chair for her sadness so she didn't have to hide it. He learned her world gently. He remembered her mother's favorite tea after meeting her once. He fixed the dripping tap in her kitchen without bragging. He sent voice notes saying, "Reached home safe, don't worry." She saved those notes, not because they were romantic, but because they sounded like safety. For the first time, calm didn't feel empty. Calm felt like healing. Months passed. Seasons turned. She grew lighter. He grew closer. One evening, under a soft yellow street lamp, he asked if she wanted to build a life together. Her heart didn't race. It steadied. Peace became her answer. They set a wedding date. But before she stepped into a new future, she needed to close the door to her past. Not with anger. Not with revenge. Not with loud drama. With clarity. With light. So she made a choice only she understood. She invited her ex to the wedding. Not to show him she moved on, but to end a story that began in shadows. She wrote the invitation card in calm, steady handwriting. No hidden message. No bitterness. She dropped it into the office internal mail tray without a single tremor in her hand. Her wedding day arrived dressed in golden sunlight. The hall was glowing. Guests filled the seats. Her dress wasn't dramatic. It was peaceful, soft, like someone stepping out of a nightmare and into her own horizon. She looked at Amar standing at the altar. Her voice didn't shake when she spoke her vows. "I promise truth. I promise care in small things. I promise to build and rebuild, with honesty." The words felt like air she had been waiting years to breathe. In the last row, her ex sat motionless. His hands were clasped. His face unreadable. He wasn't angry. He wasn't dramatic. He was simply small. Like a chapter that finally knew it was over. She walked past him with Omar beside her. She didn't look back. At the reception, music filled the room. Soft, warm, nothing loud. She danced with a quiet joy she almost didn't recognize. She was no longer proving anything. She was simply living. Her mother smiled from across the room. Omar squeezed her hand gently. Her dress whispered across the floor like a blessing. Somewhere in the middle of the celebration, her ex slipped out silently. No fight, no plea, no final words. Just footsteps fading behind a door. It was the right kind of ending. A clean ending. A silent ending. But when she returned home at night, still wearing soft makeup, still smelling of roses, still glowing from the ceremony, she found an envelope at her doorstep. A plain white envelope. No name. No stamp. Just one sentence inside. "Before you start your new life, you deserve to know the truth he hid from both of us." Her breath caught. The note was signed. His wife. And attached to it was the first page of a report. A report that contained her own name. The envelope lay on her lap like a small storm waiting to burst. Inside it was the first page of a report, her own name typed clearly at the top. She reread it 3 times, each word tightening the air around her. Why was her name in his wife's report? What did he hide from both of them? What truth did she think she needed to know before starting a new life? But the report ended abruptly after 1 page, cut off mid-sentence. Almost like someone didn't want her to see the full story yet. She waited for a second envelope. A call. A message. Nothing came. 2 months passed like slow-moving clouds. The report stayed locked inside her bedside drawer. He stayed gone. His wife stayed silent. And life, stubborn, gentle, merciful, moved on. Her world with Amar began quietly, not with fireworks or declarations, but with warmth that grew like morning light. They built a home together room by room, habit by habit. Plants stood near the windows, stretching toward the sun. Magnets from small weekend trips decorated the fridge. Little notes appeared on mirrors. "You did great today. Call Mom. I'm proud of you." It was a simple life, simple but whole. She didn't have to hide her fears, or shrink her joy, or wonder if she was being lied to. Omar's kindness didn't overwhelm her. It steadied her. For the first time, peace didn't feel fragile. It felt earned. Months slipped by. Her past blurred. Her wounds softened at the edges. Until one night. A little after midnight, while the world outside their apartment rested under the blue glow of a street lamp, her phone lit up on the nightstand. A message. She almost ignored it. Omar was asleep beside her, warm, breathing softly, one hand resting lightly over her waist. She didn't want to disturb him. But the phone buzzed again, and something in her chest tightened, not with fear, but with recognition. The number was one she had deleted. Or thought she had deleted. Her breath caught as she opened the message. 8 words. One question. Your smile still troubles me. How could you smile? She stared at the screen. After everything, after the cafe betrayal, after the video, after the silent exit from her wedding, this was the thing he wanted to know? Her smile. She read the message again. He had always believed he owned her emotions. Even her heartbreak. Even her healing. For a moment, she considered ignoring him. Blocking him. Letting silence be the final wall. But something inside her, a truth that had grown stronger in all these months, asked her to answer. Not for him. For herself. She typed a short message. Not a wound. Not an explanation. Just a fact. I was broken. I also chose to live. Living well was my revenge. She hit send. Placed the phone face down. Let the silence reclaim the room. She looked at Omar. Peaceful, safe, still asleep. She touched his shoulder softly, thanking the universe for the gentle man he was. Not perfect. Not dramatic. Just present. Her past felt far away, like a bad dream that no longer belonged to her. The report, the wife's message, the video, everything had faded under the soft light of her new life. She lay back, letting the darkness settle around her like a warm blanket. She finally understood something. Healing hadn't been about leaving him behind. Healing had been about returning to herself. She closed her eyes. Just as she drifted into sleep, her phone buzzed again. A new message. From an unknown number. She frowned, reached for it. This one wasn't from him. It was from his wife. You shouldn't feel too safe. That report. You only saw page 1. Her skin prickled. A second message arrived immediately. He lied to both of us. And now the truth involves your new life too. She sat up slowly, heart pounding, not with old pain, but with new fear. A final message came. Meet me. Before he does. She looked at sleeping Omar, peaceful, unaware. And in that moment, she understood. Her past wasn't finished with her. Not yet. The wife's final message stayed in her mind like a faint echo. You only saw page 1. He lied to both of us. This truth involves your new life too. But after that night, nothing happened. No more messages. No more warnings. No more signs that the past was knocking at her door. For weeks she expected something, another envelope, a call, a confrontation. But silence covered everything like soft snow. Eventually, she folded the note, locked the report in a drawer, and stepped deliberately back into the life she was building. And that life, slowly, beautifully, became her safe place. Their first anniversary arrived like a soft sunrise, gentle and uncomplicated. No grand gestures, no expensive surprises. Just the kind of day that sits quietly in your memory and glows long after it passes. They took a crowded bus to a hilltop on the edge of the city. She leaned lightly against him when the bus rattled over bumps, and without saying anything, he steadied her. Not with theatrics, just with presence. The hilltop breeze greeted them with cold breath and flying hair. They bought hot pakoras wrapped in paper, roasted corn brushed in spices, and sweet tea served in tiny glass cups that warmed their palms. When the wind grew sharper, she wrapped her scarf around herself. Without a word, Omar stepped closer and pulled half of it over his shoulder so they could share its warmth. Their laughter mixed with the wind. It felt simple. It felt whole. They spoke about their future the way some people add colors to a painting. Softly, one shade at a time. They talked about buying a bigger dining table, visiting the sea, walking barefoot on wet sand, and someday, when life felt bigger and their hearts felt ready, maybe welcoming a child. She looked at him with bright certainty and said, "You are my safe place." He squeezed her hand like he was holding something precious. At work, her days became meaningful in quieter ways. A young colleague, earnest, nervous, apologizing too often, looked up to her. One afternoon the girl confessed she felt invisible in meetings. She took her aside, touched her shoulder gently, and said, "Choose yourself when no one else does. That isn't selfish. That's survival." She said it with the calm of someone who had already lived that truth. Her boundaries stayed firm, not hard, not cold, just clear. And her kindness stayed warm. She remembered birthdays. She checked on coworkers whose eyes looked tired. She brought tea for someone having a rough day. She credited her team even when the work was uneven. She had learned to be soft without losing her strength, and strong without losing her humanity. But the past was patient. It waited. And one night, it returned, not as a scream, not as a warning video, not as a letter. It came as a long message from her ex. It arrived just before midnight, as such messages usually do, timed to loneliness rather than respect. His words spilled across the screen, long, desperate, tangled between regret and confusion. "I wish I had been different. I hope you're happy. I miss who we were. I need to explain. I've changed." She read the message once, calmly, and felt nothing. It wasn't coldness, it was clarity. It was a chapter that didn't know it was already closed. She did not reply. Forgiveness, she had learned, wasn't letting someone back in. It was cleaning her own heart, locking old windows that once let cold wind in, choosing peace, not reopening wounds. Forgiveness wasn't a welcome mat. Forgiveness was a boundary, and hers stood strong. As her birthday approached, she did something she never imagined she'd do. She planned a dinner at Café Crescent, the same cafe where her world once cracked like a dropped cup. She wasn't going for revenge. Not nostalgia. Not to test her scars. She was going for herself. She wanted to reclaim the room where she had once cried. To sit under the same honey-yellow lights and breathe without shaking. To order the cappuccino that once went untouched and drink it without tasting betrayal in its warmth. She imagined walking in hand with Omar. She imagined filling the place with new laughter, new stories, new memories. Her present was strong enough now. Her future felt wide. Her heart felt steady. But the night before her birthday dinner, while she packed a small gift for Omar, her phone lit up again. Not with his ex. Not with her ex. With an unknown number. A single message. "Tomorrow's cafe visit. Don't sit by the window. He will be there." She froze. A second message arrived immediately. "And this time, he's not coming alone." Her fingers tightened around the phone. Her heartbeat stumbled. The shadows of her past had not let her go. Not yet. The night of her birthday arrived slowly, wrapped in a soft grey sky just like the warning message had promised. "Tomorrow's cafe visit. Don't sit by the window. And this time, he's not coming alone." She carried those words with her all day. She didn't tell Omar. Not because she wanted to hide something, but because she didn't want fear to pollute the joy she had rebuilt. Café Crescent glowed warmly when they arrived. Lights spilled across the pavement like melted gold. She held Omar's hand tighter than usual, not out of fear, but out of gratitude. A year ago, she had walked into this cafe heartbroken. Tonight, she walked in healed. The moment they entered, she felt it. A pair of eyes on her. She didn't look yet. She guided Omar to a different corner, far from the windows, just as the warning had said. They ordered cappuccinos. His laughter filled the air, soft and warm. Her heart steadied. She felt safe. But she also felt the past arriving, step by step. When the door chimed again, she finally looked. It was him. Her ex. But he wasn't alone. A woman walked beside him, his wife. Not furious. Not broken. Not fragile. Composed. Cold as a closed door. He froze when he saw her. His wife didn't. Instead, the wife walked straight toward her, her heels tapping like a quiet countdown. Her ex followed a few steps behind, his face pale, his expression tight. Omar looked up, concerned. She squeezed his hand gently. "I'm okay," she whispered. The wife reached their table and placed a small envelope down. The same handwriting. The same weight she had once felt waiting in her mailbox. "Page 2, the wife said. Her voice was controlled, almost polite. "He never told me. He never told you. But you should know." The wife didn't wait for her to respond. She simply turned and walked out. Her ex stood frozen, trapped between shame and shock. Finally, he stepped closer. He tried to speak, but the words tripped in his throat. His voice cracked. "You look happy." She lifted her chin slightly. "Yes," she said. "I am." His eyes dropped to her hand, intertwined with Omar's. His face tightened with the kind of regret that twists a person from the inside out. He swallowed hard. "You really moved on." "I grew," she corrected gently. "There is a difference." He blinked fast, like someone fighting tears he didn't deserve. "I wanted to explain," he whispered. She nodded once. "You don't owe me anything," she said. "And I don't owe you my pain." He looked at her smile, the one that once troubled him, the one he questioned late at night. And he broke a little. Because the smile wasn't pretending anymore. It wasn't survival. It wasn't discipline. It was peace. A peace he could never give her. A peace he had destroyed. A peace he now wished he had guarded. Omar stood then, tall but calm. He didn't threaten. He didn't glare. He didn't demand an explanation. He simply said, "We wish you both healing." Her ex nodded weakly, chest tight, the weight of consequences hanging like a stone inside him. Before leaving, he gathered the courage to say one last thing. "I see it now," he whispered. "You never needed me, but I always needed you. That's the real punishment." She didn't reply. She didn't need to. He walked out of the cafe slowly, like a man carrying his own ruins. Omar sat again, lacing his fingers with hers. "Are you sure you're okay?" he asked. She smiled, quiet, strong, unshakable. "Yes." She opened the envelope the wife had left. Inside was page 2 of the report. A truth she had expected to feel heavy. But it didn't. It read, "His wife filed for divorce 6 months ago. Her message to you. You were never the villain. He was never your burden. Walk free." She exhaled. A soft, relieved breath. The past wasn't chasing her. It was ending. Really ending. The rest of the evening unfolded gently. Laughter, warm coffee, small jokes whispered across the table. The room felt bright again, like the first time sunlight had touched her after a long storm. When they left the cafe, the streetlight cast a long shadow behind her, but none ahead. Her hand stayed securely in Omar's. Before crossing the street, she looked back once, just once. Her ex stood far across the road, half hidden by shadows, watching her leave. Not with anger, not with hope, but with the ache of a man who finally understood the full cost of his choices. Her smile returned, calm, honest, whole. And that smile, the one he once feared, the one he questioned, the one he regretted losing, was her final revenge. He would remember it forever. She turned away, stepping forward with the man who chose her, valued her, and never lied. And that was the real ending. Not tragedy. Not chaos. Not loss. A life reclaimed. A peace earned. A future built on truth. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the story, please hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon. Comment below for more stories like this. Your support means the world to us.